Welcome to the Explainer. We're about to dive into one of the biggest questions humanity has ever asked. Are we alone? But we're going to look at it from two totally different sides: the hopeful search for cosmic neighbors and the absolute horror of what might actually be lurking out there in the dark.
So let me ask you this. How you answer that, well, it really gets to the heart of everything, doesn't it? It kind of reveals this deep split in how we even imagine what or who is out there in all that emptiness.
Right. Are you the type to see endless possibilities? New friends, incredible discoveries, or do you see infinite terror? A cosmos hiding things so ancient, so huge, that we don't even register to them. That divide, that's what we're exploring today. Okay, let's start on the hopeful side of things. Let's look at the actual, organized, scientific search to figure out once and for all if we've got company. And this whole effort, it has a name: SETI. For decades, SETI has basically been the embodiment of our collective curiosity, our optimism. It's that deep down hope that someone, somewhere, is looking up at their sky and asking the exact same question. And man, has this search changed over the years? It started out super small back in 1960 with something called Project Ozma. They were just pointing a telescope at two stars nearby. We've had these little glimmers of hope, like the famous WOW signal, this super strong but one-time only blip. And now we've got these massive projects like Breakthrough Listen, pouring $100 million into the biggest search we've ever done. It's a whole different ballgame. So what are scientists even listening for? Well, it's not just a simple hello. They're on the hunt for what they call technosignatures. And it's any sign of technology. It could be a weird radio signal, sure, but it could also be the light from alien cities, or even pollution in the atmosphere of a distant planet. Or, and this is the wild one, huge engineering projects, like a society literally building a shell around their star. And the scale of this search today, it's just incredible. Take a look at this. This is the FAST telescope in China. It's the biggest radio telescope on Earth. And get this, one of its main jobs, one of its core missions, is SETI. We're building these unbelievably powerful machines for one simple reason: to listen for the tiniest, faintest whisper from out there in the dark. But here's the thing. After more than 60 years of listening, nothing. Just silence. And that quiet, that really profound quiet, it opens the door to a much, much darker way of thinking about what's really out there. So that brings us to the flip side. We're leaving the hope of the laboratory and stepping right into the dread of cosmic horror. The kind of story that whispers, be careful what you wish for, you just might get it. And nobody captured this kind of fear better than the writer H.P. Lovecraft. For him, the great unknown wasn't some exciting frontier. No way. It was the source of all true terror. He basically invented a genre we now call eldritch horror. And it is the absolute polar opposite of SETI. See, in Lovecraft's universe, the cosmos isn't empty. Oh, no. It's full. It's full of ancient, godlike things that are so far beyond our comprehension, just knowing they exist would break our minds. In this view, humanity, we're not special. We're just an accident, a tiny flicker in a huge, dark, and completely uncaring universe. And that's the absolute key right there. For the SETI folks, making contact is the ultimate goal. It's the jackpot. But in Lovecraft's world, contact is game over. Finding something wouldn't enlighten us. It would obliterate us. It would shatter our minds. So here we are with these two completely opposite visions of the other. We have the scientific version we're hoping to find in this horrific version we should be terrified of. How can our ideas about aliens be so wildly different? Well, to really get Lovecraft's vision, you have to look at the man himself. And what scholars will tell you is that his cosmic horror was tied directly to his fears right here on Earth. Lovecraft was a known xenophobe. He was deeply afraid of immigration and what he called racial mixing. So when you read his stories about ancient alien things corrupting human bloodlines, a lot of that was just a cosmic-sized metaphor for his own personal anxieties about cultural change. So what we're left with are two totally different ideas of what an alien other even is. For science, the other is a discovery. It's a puzzle, a signal we can decode. For Lovecraft, the other is a poison. It's a corrupting force that threatens our sanity, our bodies, our entire existence. See the difference? One's a question, the other is a disease. Okay, so you might be thinking, this is just science fiction versus real science, right? But it's not that simple. This exact dilemma, this tug of war between hope and fear, is at the center of a very real, very serious debate happening among scientists right now. And that whole debate is framed by this one haunting question. It's called the Fermi paradox, or sometimes the Great Silence. And it goes like this. If our galaxy is ancient and it's filled with billions of planets that could support life, well, it should be crawling with civilizations. So, as the physicist Enrico Fermi asked, where is everybody? That silence, it's the biggest mystery there is. And maybe it's the biggest warning. And this great silence forces us to make a choice. What's our strategy here? For decades, we've been doing what's called passive SETI, which basically means we just listen, we keep quiet. But now, some scientists are pushing for active SETI, also known as METI. That stands for Messaging to Extraterrestrial Intelligence. Their argument? We should stop just waiting for the phone to ring. It's time to start shouting into the void ourselves.
But a lot of very smart people, including the late great Stephen Hawking, thought this was a terrible, reckless idea. His argument was pretty simple and pretty grim. Just look at our own history. What happens when a more advanced culture meets a less advanced one? It almost never ends well for the less advanced one. So why on earth would we assume aliens would be any different? His advice was simple. Lay low. Don't draw attention to ourselves.
Which brings us right back to where we started. Do we send a message out there, hoping to find fellow explorers? You know, the Star Trek version? Or are we just ringing a cosmic dinner bell, inviting some Lovecraftian monster to come find us?
In the end, how we choose to hear that silence, whether we see it as a challenge we need to conquer or a warning we need to listen to, that choice probably tells us very little about what's really out there among the stars, but it tells us everything about the hope and the horror that we carry right here inside ourselves.